All right, here we are. I think I'll sit down, have a couple of brewskis here in my nice frosty. Well, I just spilled it on myself. Whatever. This nice frosty tall glass. And I guess it's time for me to do it. Episode 100. Here we are. I am kind of at a loss for words. I had sat down over the last, 30 minutes or so, just kind of typing out what I wanted to say. And it was difficult because I didn't really know what to say. It took me a while, but I think I've got some good content here. Or at least, alright, start over. Fuck it. Welcome to episode 100 of In the Keep. Holy shit. It has been a lot. It's been a long time. It's been 2 years, over 2 years since this show got started. And I'm going to say a lot of thank yous later, but first and foremost, I have to say thank you to Unkind for helping me start this actual podcast. That wouldn't have happened without him and State of Quake and Slip and that whole crew and D-Ron. And there's just going to be a lot of me throughout the course of this thing saying thank you to a bunch of people. But I'm going to give you now a little introduction into what episode 100 is going to be. I struggled for a long time trying to figure out what are we going to do for episode 100. And it was daunting. It was a daunting task, and I'm just going to kind of read off what I've written here to try to explain that. So it felt natural at first to do something that was like big, huge. I was like, let's get a huge guest on or something like that. And then I thought about it, and there was no sense in trying to force that to happen. I felt like it should be a celebration, and you don't invite your favorite celebrities to a celebration necessarily, unless you're like a Hollywood person, but I'm not. So I thought, let's do something with just the people who keep the lights on here, like the people who have contributed, and that's the In the Keep team, the apostles and the high priests that you'll see in the Discord. And so the second part of episode 100, this is just part one, will be Uncle Had, Flambeau, Violent Heart returning after 100 episodes, Red Eyes Green Dragon, and myself and Nabe all just together, talking. And we go through the list of, 100 fucking episodes and just kind of discuss the history of how this show came to be. And then we ramble on for a whole long time. So enjoy the hell out of that. It's like 2.5, 3, it's probably like 3 hours long. I don't know. It's already edited and uploaded, and I'm not going to look right now. But if you want to get an idea of how the sausage gets made here at In the Keep, that's going to be the episode for you. Then part 3 will be myself interviewing properly one of the oldest members of In the Keep, one of the founding members of In the Keep, I Kill Pigeons. And if you had the pleasure of listening to episode number 6, then you'll already know what he's all about. But if not, then I'm looking forward to introducing to you one of my best friends that I've met since I've been on the internet. And that's Sean, that's I Kill Pigeons. And yeah, that's going to be fun too. But for this one, I'm gonna go through a whole bunch of stuff, man. We're gonna play some fucking music with, all of the different amazing musicians that have contributed to In the Keep. But in particular, I'll introduce them each as we go. But this first track is gonna be by igracsimon. It is called Catholimus. It is an original composition that he made for the show a while back. Then I'm going to tell some stories, talk about the history of the show just a little bit. I don't want to do what I'm going to do on episode 2. There's going to be a lot of me repeating myself, by the way, throughout the course of these 3 episodes. We're going to tell the Andrew Hull short story Not this time, but in the next two parts, you're going to hear that a lot. And then I figure I'll probably talk about some of the games that are currently on my radar that I've played recently and am enjoying. Then we'll talk about, we'll talk shop, we'll talk in the keep stuff. And then we're going to definitely pay a big homage to all of the amazing people who have supported us. And then we'll close out with some music, and I'll leave you guys be. It won't be the longest episode in the world, so just, kick back, relax, and enjoy the music. That was Catholimus by the immortal igracsimon. Simon has been so good to the show, man. He has made so much music for it specifically. He was a fan. I think he came around, early on when we were kind of getting into the Duskworld stuff, and has just been absolutely incredible. And I love his music. I love the fact that we have people who care enough about the show to just make music for it. That's incredible. And yeah, thanks. Thank you, Simon. You're awesome. And I'll link every musician that we play today. I'll link their profiles and whatnot to the episode notes. So I guess the next thing here is I wanted to address the last, what do we call these, State of the Keep addresses that we did. And it was a weird one. I won't say I was in a bad place. I was just in a really stressed out kind of place. And I don't know. I felt like if I listened to it back now, it would just make me angry. But I was complaining, and I don't want to set the precedent that I don't value or enjoy the work we do here. I mean, I do. I love In the Keep. I love everything. And sometimes it can be overwhelming, but that's part of the struggle, and I hope if nothing else good came out of that you guys listen to that one, and if you're listening to this one now, that you don't get bogged down like that, and you know that you're always going to be able to dig yourself up out of the trenches and put your whole self, I guess, into what you're passionate about. And for me, that's what we're doing right here. And it made me think about a long time ago, I was on the QuakeCast, which is an amazing podcast made by Dump Truck from the Quake mapping community. And he and RC were interviewing me for some reason. And at some point they asked me to, like, what do you do? And, I do this all the time. I have people on who, aren't the best at really defining themselves or what they do or what they've accomplished or whatever. And then I type it up and I make it, a paragraph of just like kind of their resume, if you will. How do we sell people on listening to this episode? And I had never done that for myself. Obviously, why would I? And I didn't know how to answer the question. I was like, well, I run this Discord and I do this like podcast thing, but I also do, games commentary. And at the time I was writing for QuakeFans.net, shout out to Smango, and it was just all over the place. And I didn't know how to say, what do I do? And I'm very proud to, sit here. I was going to say stand here, but sit here in my fucking chair and say today, people ask me, what do you do? I'm like, I'm the CEO of In the Keep. you know? I'm a podcaster, but I'm still all these other things. I'm more things now than I was back then, and you'll learn a lot about that over the next, I don't know, year or so. Get to see all the amazing shit we're cooking up here. But that was an eye-opening question that I never really thought about, and it stuck with me. Speaking of sticking with you, I want to talk about like what I've learned over the past 100. We've done more than 100 episodes. We've done a lot more than 100 episodes. I'm not sure what the exact count is, but if you count up all the bonuses and the Talking Doom with Flambos and all of the featured stuff, whatever, through the catalog, it's been a lot. But essentially, we've done 100 interviews on this show, right around that much. If you count the I Kill Pigeons episode, I'm going to release those over like the next couple of days. So I think Thursday, the I Kill Pigeons episode will be out. And that'll be my 100th interview on In the Keep. That is a proper In the Keep episode. But what I'm thinking about what I've learned. I'm trying to reflect on it, and I do this a lot. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I mean, mostly interview-based stuff, but a lot of like history, sort of solo stuff, like what I'm doing now or whatever. But mostly interview stuff because that's what I do and that's what I enjoy. And I'm always thinking about how you come across when you talk to people, and how to be an effective communicator. And I've taken classes on this. I've not necessarily like volunteered to, but like part of what I do for a living right now, aside from In the Keep, required me to do that. And it was a great experience. I'm glad that I did all of that. But I think about every time that I, cut someone off accidentally or like get out of the weeds in a conversation where I'm just like, man, maybe I shouldn't have gone on that tangent or whatever. But ultimately, I am happy with the natural evolution of how conversations flow and how generally we've done with different interviews. Like I really enjoy guests that are just willing to go crazy and wild and talk about anything and not just necessarily focus in on their project or their game, because I've said this a million times, but I think it's really important to give you the chance to get to know the guest, who they are as a person, and make that personal connection. And meanwhile, I get to do that in real time. And I think overall what I've taken away from it is that there are things that I can improve on as an interviewer. There are things that anyone can improve on. We can all improve on a lot of things. But I have just kind of reaffirmed my original belief that people are what this show's about. I wrote some notes about this too, but In the Keep is and has always been about people. I mean, it uses the medium of video games to explore the minds, souls, hearts, lives, passions of these awesome individuals who are involved in the gaming community. And over the past couple of years, we've heard from a crazy wide array of different kinds of people within the gaming, I would say, industry, but not even just the industry, but like community. And that's involved, esports professionals. It's involved commentators. We've had journalists, broadcasters, marketers, just content creators, whether that be YouTubers or Twitch streamers or whatever. We've talked to literal executives, like CEOs of pretty significant companies. And we talked to developers from the modders to the smallest indies to some of the most like prolific names in gaming. I mean, and that I'm going to iterate this a lot over the next two interviews. So like I never could have seen that happening. And it's been wild. It's been absolutely fucking wild, man. But the show, to reaffirm what I'm saying here, the show is about people. And I don't know, I get a lot of, sometimes I get feedback, and it's pretty rare. It's not like all the time, but I get a lot of people that will say things like, why don't your interviews focus just on the game? And like, it's 4 hours long, Motherload. Why? Like, I don't want to hear about what you and this other person think. And I'm not just talking about Maleki Trerao. There have been other people. You're not alone, man. I'm just picking on you because you did it publicly. I love you, man. Maleki, shout out. But because I genuinely believe that it is important to give people the chance to speak, and if a conversation's going well, I mean, if the everything's coming together, the birds are chirping, you got to take it when you can get it. And I don't think that you get a lot out of 30 minutes of someone, just opening up in a conversation. There's a science to it. That this is another thing that I've learned. There's a science to getting people to bare their true soul, not just be the public image that they're trying to portray, and to really, make them come out of their shell. And you can't really, some people I'm already friends with them, and I can just hit the ball right off the tee, hit the ground running with them and go in. And that's awesome. But those people that you get for, 2, 3, 4 hours, you can notice it. If you pay attention, you'll really notice that, about an hour and a half in, about 90 minutes into your typical conversation is when people really loosen up and they really just start talking. You exhaust all their efforts to just keep, this almost sounds like predatory. It's not, but once you've exhausted efforts to kind of keep a particular topic going, there's no other way. If the conversation is still happening to them and to me, and it's flowing, then you break that mark wherever it happens to be, and then you get to look into who that person is beneath the surface, and you get them rambling about their favorite books or movies or what inspires them outside of just video games. And for me, and I'm never going to stop doing that, because for me, that's the magic. That's what I love hearing. I love seeing someone just be themselves. And I hope that you, as the listener, if you're listening to 100 episodes in, generally speaking, I would assume that you vibe with that you're here for that. And I said it before, but come for the games, stay for the people. Come for the beer, stay for the conversation. That's what I'm talking about. So at this point, I will hit you up with some more music to kind of divide segments. This one is Incubator by James Paddock. It is from the original soundtrack to his game, The Adventures of Square. And this was also featured as part of the Pigeon Classic. At one point, it was the theme song to the Pigeon Classic, and it was just, I don't know why. I mean, MIDI tracks are weird. It's a strange thing to be into just listening to. They work great for games and soundtracks and stuff, but I don't know why. This is a fucking banger. This song is kick-ass, so enjoy it, and we'll be back with the next little bit. That was Incubutter by James Paddock. Best hair in all of music, and the actual best MIDI artist who's ever existed, ever. No doubt about that. Not to me, anyway. He's been absolutely incredible to the show. Always, been really cool with us using his music. He's been on the show before, so go check that one out if you haven't already. And just an incredible guy. Multi-talented, too. He's also excellent level designer, too. What the fuck, man? What are you doing, Jimmy? Why do you do so many things? Why do you not get paid millions of dollars to do what you do? I will never know until you do. So the next topic here is going to be games that I've been kind of like floating around the radar, playing, looking forward to, enjoying, and all that kind of stuff. So let's break it down. Over the past couple of days, I've been enamored with this game. I don't want to say the name of it just yet because I'm going to try to introduce the story of how it came to be. If I'm off on a weekend, especially when I'm on night shift because I'm bored and alone at home, chances are you can find me in the DreadX Discord, where I will be watching shitty horror movies with a large group of individuals led by Ted Henschke, who is, of course, the head honcho at DreadXP. And it's a fucking awesome time, kick back, have a few beers, watch some shitty movies with your friends. Like, what's not to like? And, that always involves a lot of conversation, just different people popping in and out. There's a regular crew, but every once in a while you meet someone new. And we wrapped up the movies one night. I think Ted had to go to bed. And there's this guy in there named Cleveland. And Artman Cometh, Cleveland. He was just talking about this game he's developing. And actually, before I talk about the game, I actually have to talk about his podcast, which was really cool. It's called Pod People. And it's just literally a group of guys who sit down and watch movies and talk about it. Not like Mystery Science. It's kind of a retrospective. It's not like in real time, so you don't have to watch the movie with them. But, and then they have guests on every once in a while. It's a really cool show. And they were talking about his podcast, and I was trying to look it up, and I couldn't fucking find a link. And this will never happen to In the Keep guests, I hope. I do everything I can to avoid this, but somebody, gives me a link to some podcast service I'd never heard of, and I wanted to find it on my podcast service of choice, which for me right now is Spotify. I used to listen on Podcast Republic, but I don't know. I use Spotify for music anyway. It just made sense to consolidate. And so I'm trying to figure out where to fucking find it, but there's no goddamn link to their website or anywhere where you can, see a tree of links to where you want to listen to it at. And I guess I could have just searched it, but I was just being a little pisshead and frustrated. And they were talking about the fact that one of the guys, I think it was Jans, had been on his show. And I didn't realize Cleveland was also like in the chat because his name is Artman Cometh, right? And so I was just sitting here like, man, this podcast looks really fucking cool, but Jesus Christ, why can't they just like link the fucking website? I'm just being such an ass. And then Cleveland's like, yeah, you're probably right. And I'm just like, oh, you're Cleveland. You're the guy we're talking about right now. I am so sorry. I felt like such a douche, but whatever. It was no big thing. But then we get to talking, and he's an artist, right? And he's showing us some art that he's doing for this game. And I was like, this is amazing looking. What is it you're developing? Message me, let's talk about getting you on the show or some shit. And then they give me a key to the game, and it's called It Stares Back. So you guys are fans of the show, right? You're listening to this, I assume. You're familiar with the content that we've put out before, and it's mostly retro FPS stuff and things that kind of circle around that world. This is not one of those. This is it's technically has some RPG elements to it, but this game is an RTS. And until very recently, I have never, ever played an RTS of any kind. I mean, unless you count... nope, never played one. Nope. Can't think of a single one I've played. So it's a totally new genre to me, and I get the Steam key, and it's an early access game, but fuck it, I'll give it a shot, and it's amazing. Like, It Stares Back, it's this beautiful, like, sort of H.R. Giger or Beksinski-esque artwork, and you have this guy called the Noble Guide that it's kind of your main character, and you lead little armies of these little dudes around, and, you do some taking over of objectives, and I'm basically just describing an RTS game. This is all brand new to me, but it's got a killer soundtrack. It's got, as I said already, amazing art that's right up my alley. Giger, Beksinski, that kind of stuff. Thank you, Scumhead, for introducing me to Beksinski, by the way. And I just became so enamored with it. Like, there's these awesome kind of hilarious cutscenes. There's a lot of humor in the game too, where you have these different characters that kind of come along and tell you the story of what you're really doing. So it's not just this objective based kind of thing. There's like a real underlying story here. And then where the RPG element comes in is that you can kind of level up your little dude soldiers in different ways that, kind of allow you to decide what your path is in terms of how you want to go about combat and what you want to lean on. And I absolutely love this game. I will definitely be having Cleveland and the rest of the team on, whoever wants to come on whenever I can to talk more in depth about it. And I'm going to link every game that I mentioned here. I'm going to link you guys to, so don't worry about that. But definitely, like, highly recommended, and looking forward to more content from that game. It's all I've played for the past 3 or 4 days. And actually, it's really all I've played over the past couple of weeks. I mean, every little bit, I'll take a little side tangent to play something smaller, miniature, or, bust out a few levels of the next game that I'm going to talk about, just to kind of get my mind off of RTS. But next game in order here is Nightmare Reaper. I'm going to sound apologetic, but I'm really not. Nightmare Reaper is an absolutely incredible game, but it's not the type of game that, for me personally, I just want to play back-to-back level by level by level. I enjoy it as a game that I can kind of like take away a little time away from, come back and play a level or two, and then peace out, and then come back again when I need to get that fucking frustration out. And I have been very slowly working my way through the second episode of Nightmare Reaper. It is awesome. It introduces all kinds of cool new mechanics that I'm sure we talked about with Bruno when he's been on the show. He's been on the show a couple of times, I want to say. But, now you have the ability to use like this kind of... before you could use the chainsaw for whatever reason as like a Batman hook to like pull yourself across the map really fast. Now that's just like part of the game. That's really interesting. It's got a lot of new cool... and I say new, this has been out for quite a while. I'm just telling you but what my experience has been. Cityscape levels and everything, and also a lot of really cool new weapons, and I'm very much enjoying that. I used to very heavily lean on the either the knives or the dual wielding axes that you could kind of throw at people repeatedly and just annihilate large groups of enemies. But now I've really become I don't even know what the name of the fucking weapon is. It's like this fucking ice laser thing. Become a big fan of that, and the leveling tree has just gotten better and better. And honestly, there are parts of the time when I enjoy the leveling up system, like the Game Boy Advanced little platforming mini game, just as much, if not more, than I enjoy the game itself. Definitely love that game, man. I can't wait to finally finish it, and then we're gonna have Nightmare Reaper 3 at some point, and that's gonna be fucking awesome. We got to get Bruno back on the show. He's one of my favorite guests that we've had. And yeah, Nightmare Reaper, check it out. Just a couple of days ago, as of recording this, it is currently like the 4th of June, so I'll probably release this on Tuesday, so it won't be too far off. Skald against the Black Priory. Al was a recent guest on the show. Just hit stores, and by stores I mean like you don't even have to buy it yet. You can play the whole prologue for free on Steam as a demo right now, and you got to do it. It's incredible. I mean, this is a total departure from in the Keep style. Like in the past, we've had this very FPS leaning thing, and that's something that I'll be addressing here, as we go through the episode. But I really want to change the focus, not off of that, but just broaden the scope and shine a light on more things that I think are awesome. Skald is one of those. It is an RPG. It is a top-down adventure RPG. It's got like fucking, 60... why am I tripping over my words here? C64. Too many s in there. Style graphics. It's just gorgeous. And the story is so just right on the money. Perfect. You've got fucking Kraken right out the get-go. You've got just the sass and the humor and the medieval crap, and you've got just this really well done artwork that helps to really bring the story to life. And it's got everything. It's got some Cthulhu-esque mythos in there. It is its own kind of story, and it's not based on any Lovecraft in particular, but very much in that vein. It's got really cool combat. It's like not grid-based combat, but where you turn-based stuff, and you can even just mash the play through button once you've kind of leveled up your characters and equipped them the right way. Just enjoy the hell out of it, and that's one that's definitely worth checking out right now. It's available on Steam. Go get the fucking demo. It's free. It won't cost you anything. And definitely, if you haven't already, go back and listen to the Skald Skald RPG episode of In the Keep, because Al is a really cool dude. I've actually spent a good bit more time talking to him since that recording, just getting to know him a little bit better and enjoying just being friends. It's awesome. Let's see, what else would we have? Happy's Humble Burger Farm. This game is awesome. You have to check this game. You have to check it out. The demo's out there to be played right now, and I'm pretty sure that they're working with Tiny Build, so they're gonna have to release it at some point, man. This is Scythe Dev Team. They've done a lot of really cool games that you can go check out, mostly on itch.io. And also they've been participants in the DreadX collections, so that's a good way to kind of just get your hands on it while also getting a lot of other content too. Happy's Humble Burger Farm, though, is fucking weird. This is a game that essentially puts you, you're playing first person as a character who you wake up in your shitty apartment, your boss is pissed at you, and you got to drive in the middle of the night to go work at your shitty fast food restaurant job. And you literally have to fulfill orders. Like, people come up, they order different, fucking chicken sandwiches and hamburgers and all that kind of crap. And you've just got to kind of get into the groove and figure out how to fulfill those orders. Now, that's fun on its own. I mean, that's just like a fast food employee simulator, and it's hilarious. But you are then asked to, clock out, close at the restaurant, and drive home. And slowly but surely, you start to realize that things aren't exactly what they seem. You have nightmares about the mascots of Happy's Humble Burger Farm. And you start to realize that the player is not necessarily like just a straight up employee, but this is a larger metaphor for corporatism and just, I don't know how to explain it. I'm doing a poor job, but just play the demo, man. This game is fucking incredible. And I can assure you, if you're an In the Keep fan, you will find at least something, wink wink, to like in the game over time. Maybe not in the demo, but as you get to play through the whole thing, I'm certain you will find some awesome reason why this is an amazing game. And it is, truly. And whether that be the amazing soundtrack, this is all John of the Shred, if you're familiar with Scythe Dev Team at all, but just go to Spotify and listen to John of the Shred. Listen to his music, man. This guy is on a different fucking level. He's, I gotta get more of his music on the show at some point, but wow. Probably one of the most diverse, musically gifted people that I've ever interacted with in terms of, 1 minute you're listening to this very 80s like hair metal type song, and the next one's like this really retro synthwave kind of shit, and he's doing all of it. And you've got to check this game out. I promise you will like it. Or your money back, which is nothing from me. So take that up with John. So yeah, okay. The next game, I've snuck this one in the middle so that we can kind of address the elephant in the room. Graven just hit early access. 3D Realms Graven. We're trying to get Chris Holden on for fucking ever. That will happen eventually. But we've had Scarecrow on to talk about it and everything. And the demo was outstanding. Absolutely, really, really fucking cool. The early access didn't hit quite the same way. If you look at the reviews and everything, people did not receive it nearly as well as expected. And from what I understand, this is to do with like there's an array of little things, and there's always going to be in an early access game, but it did not live up in terms of combat in some ways and content. Like it just wasn't what people were expecting, and I get that. I really don't know why people go out and say negative things, but I guess it's helpful. I mean, that's why we have reviews, is for consumers to know what to and what not to buy. So some people are doing it out of trying to be helpful. However, struggling to find words here. You guys know that I am quite familiar with 3D Realms. I talk to them all the time. I'm pretty up their ass, and I can assure you, even if you didn't like the demo, not the demo, you had to have loved the demo. It was great. If you're not satisfied currently, or like you're waiting to hit that buy button, which is fine, like there's no reason not to wait to hit the buy button on an early access game. But if you do end up grabbing it, the team working on this is full of amazing people who really, really, really care what people think. 3D Realms is not some giant corporation who just doesn't give a shit, and they're just up for money, and that's it. If you do pick it up, understand up front that the people at Slipgate and 3D Realms are working their asses off to make this the best game ever. And before you type anything gross and negative into the reviews or whatever on Steam or GOG or wherever you get it, keep that in mind. Keep in mind that there are human beings here, not just a company or a face or whatever. However, I do think there's some great things to be said about Graven. First of all, there's no game artistically like it. The only other game that comes to mind would be Sprawl, which is not out yet, so it can't be really, apples to oranges right now, but they both have the, make things Quake style in Trench Broom, and then make the full experience in Unreal. It's really, really cool and interesting, and it's an experiment that I'm looking forward to see continue to play out. It's also very ambitious, very big for compared to kind of the sort of thing that we've expected from 3D Realms before. And I think that over time, as they do continue to work on it, fix the bugs, fix the issues, and hone it in and create more content, I fully believe that Graven is going to be a banger. And I would say otherwise if I felt otherwise. I'm not being held at gunpoint. No one, Scarecrow is not standing behind me with a gun right now telling me to say nice things about Graven or anything. That's not the case. I have a lot of faith in the humans and the people behind this thing, and in the content that I've seen so far. I really do think that Graven is going to be kick-ass, and it's out there in early access right now. Grab it now, you get it at a lower price. You don't have to play it right now, but you can. And if if they haven't already fixed all the bugs and shit by the time you do, help them out. Say something decent. That's all. That's it for Graven for now. I'm sure we will get a lot more commentary later when I get Chris on. But man, what a fucking game. White Hell. I am so fucking stoked about White Hell. They've also been on the podcast before, but Migo is always hitting me up with like screenshots and like ideas and different things, and just I love the relationship that we built with him, and ProJab as well. But I don't hear from ProJab as much. He's not quite as talkative, not the He's not the outgoing number of the bunch, you know. He's not the member of the team who's the marketer guy, right? And if you heard our podcast, you know that for sure. He's an awesome dude, very talented. And White Hell has come a long way since the last time we talked about it. There's still the demo that's out. I think that they're expanding the demo, actually, to just be a little bit more, like, representative of what the actual game is like now. I know that at some point in the near future, they're going to be dropping some early access kind of shit. I don't know when that will be. I don't know any dates or anything, but I have gotten the chance to see a little bit of behind the scenes stuff, and I just got to tell you, if you liked the demo, you're going to love what you see. I've got to be careful because I don't want to say anything that's like just spoilers type stuff. But if you're not familiar already with White Hell, it's a game set in Finland, loosely kind of ties into the Kalevala kind of stuff. You have Sisu power, which is kind of like these magical weapons that you use as power ups and such. And you play as this very badass kind of macho man, kind of going under the radar character, and you're basically witnessing the country being taken over by fascists and hunting down all communists or anybody who opposes them. And you have this just wonderfully, like, old school graphic blocky kind of shit going on. You have an array of different and very, very well designed levels, and just a ton of humor and really, really cool enemies. If you're familiar with anything to do with the history and lore of Finland, then you're going to very much enjoy seeing how they kind of tie in their home country with the game. You can go get the demo now on Steam, of course, and just check it out. I totally recommend it. I'm not going to talk about anything here today that I don't like, by the way. This is all just going to be me gushing over shit that I've enjoyed playing recently and that I really want you to check out. And the final one on this list is Doombringer. Now, as I said already, I'm recording this on the 4th. Today is Doombringer Day. And so when you hear this on Tuesday, Doombringer Day will have already passed, and you will be able to grab the early access on Steam or wherever right then and there. Do it now. Do it now. Doombringer is incredible. I believe at this point now I can say that I played the whole first episode well ahead of everyone else. Probably not the finished product. I'm looking forward to playing through it again when I do get the finished product later today. Incredible. Absolutely amazing. Its single-player campaign is fucking awesome. Some of the coolest labyrinthian level design. Just if you like, it starts out small and then just slowly gets bigger and bigger and more epic. You have all the tropes. This is a first-person shooter. It's a boomer shooter. You get the weapons that you would expect. You get to do some really cool puzzles as you go through it, kind of like platforming, figuring out where you're supposed to go kind of stuff. Nothing that it's not like a Resident Evil puzzle or anything like that, so don't worry about that. But I cannot say enough good things about Doombringer. And with that, I have to say that the multiplayer demo has been out for quite a while. A lot of people have had access to it. And if you've been watching Tasty Spleen's awesome organ grinder for the past 3 months or so, then no doubt you have seen the game played in multiplayer. This is not just an awesome single-player experience, but also one of the coolest and most just exciting to watch arena FPSs to come out in I don't know how long. I mean, arena FPS is essentially like that's a genre, right? Anybody who knows this show obviously at least has some familiarity with it. If you like Quake, especially Quake Live, Quake 3, you will love Doombringer. There's no question about it. It is fucking great. The whole pitch of the game from the get-go was like, what if Quake Live were a single-player game? And it had really, really cool, badass graphics that are like a lot more gritty and like, because Quake Live and Quake 3, while still Quake, kind of got away from, I think, the grittiness of the first two Quake titles, and especially the first one. So this is very much in that vein. It's actually built in the Dark Places engine. So Dark Places engine, for anybody who's not familiar, just thought I should explain, is a version of the Quake engine. So you cannot go wrong with Doombringer. Today is the day. As you're hearing me say this, if you haven't already grabbed it, grab it. Just phenomenal. 5 stars. And, for early access, I'm sure that you guys will find all sorts of complaints. Regardless, I love it, and I love Christus, so show him some support. At the very least, show the damn man some support. His game's awesome. And that's it for the game section, so I'm actually going to play a track from the Doombringer original soundtrack. This is by John S. Weekly, a.k.a. Primeval, friend of the show. And then we'll get going with that, and I'll see you in a few minutes while I get another beer going and listen to it as well. By the way, I am listening to this music in real time as I add it to the podcast and taking breaks as I go. So here you go. That was, I think it's just called track 17, as far as I know, from the Doombringer OST by John S. Weekly, as I said, also known as Primeval. That's his stage name or whatever. Amazing. I'm looking forward to hearing more from Primeval as we go on. He's working on so many incredible projects right now. A bunch of fucking free-to-play Doom mods, as far as I know. And then also, Doombringer, Age of Hell. I'm sure I'm missing a whole bunch of other stuff. But just, he's the up-and-comer, man. He's, to me, if there were a third Marky Music, Andrew Holschult, Primeval, like that guy is going to make a name in this industry. I guarantee it, unless he dies, which I hope he doesn't. But that's the only thing that could stop this immovable. That's the only immovable object that could stop an unstoppable force. I don't know, probably saying it wrong, but you get what I'm trying to say. He's amazing. Check him out. Again, links to all the music in the episode notes for sure. So the next topic that I want to get into is my plans for In the Keep over the next year. And I say the next year, but just for the future. But I'm thinking in terms of what's going to happen, specifically in the next 6 months, and as we transition into 2022. So as you probably know, if this is the first time you've heard it, whatever, I'll explain it again. Currently, I am a shift worker. I work at a weather hub as a synoptic analyst, so I draw weather charts and shit like that. And that's currently, as of you hearing this, it involves me being at work for 12 hours a day, and it's a whole thing. I don't hate my job, but I am not fulfilled by it. And I have been working my hands to the bone, tooth and nail, trying to come up with ways to make In the Keep a thing that I can do, if not my sole source of income, I'm building something with this, and I'm moving towards it being a thing. And my plan as of right now is starting in the new year to walk away from this job and transition into a new life where I dedicate every ounce of my being to In the Keep, to making this bigger and better and awesomer. And that's a whole process. It's going to be a lot of things. It's going to be getting a lot of business organized between Gelmo-san and I. It's going to be, figuring out what new people we can work with and how we can diversify kind of what we do. And we already have done that to a large extent, If you're listening to the podcast and that's all you do, cool, that's great. And you're always welcome to just do that. I can't ask anything else of you. But, we do a lot of things. If you go to our website and look at services, it's a tab on there. We do the podcasts. We also have other podcasts that we produce. So, and we're always, I'm open to the idea of taking on more as long as they're, something I'm interested in doing. I don't want to work on, some podcast that's about some subject matter that has nothing to do with anything that I care about. If I were desperate, maybe. I don't know. But that's not what In the Keep's about, gaming stuff, or, if somebody wanted to do like a fucking Lovecraft podcast, I'd take that on. It doesn't matter. If you're out there and you have ideas, man, we're happy to provide the service. But yeah, that's part of it. And then we have live broadcasting stuff. I'm sure many of you out there are aware that we've been doing a lot of live streaming work. Gelmo-san has been kicking ass at this as the lead of that team. But producing, directing, broadcasting, all that kind of stuff, doing remote control stuff, like Gelmo can have shit running on his machine, and then he's set up so that I can actually control it from his machine. And we do this every time we get the chance. And that's a really fun business thing to do. That was like a hobby that turned into a business, and I'm really proud of it. And then we're also providing casting and post-match analysis kind of stuff. That it's all been a whole thing. It's been really, really fun to watch Gelmo-san just spread his wings and fly with that. And meanwhile, I'm just doing the grunt work because I can't do any of the real work. I'm not that skilled, but that's a whole part of what we're doing. And then I'm not sure where else we'll go. We have the merch stuff up, but we're building a brand. We're building a little business, and I'm thinking it's time to move on from what I'm doing now and just take a risk and go all in and see what happens. That doesn't mean I won't have a job. I do not expect this to pay the bills by then. Thank you to the people who help out and support and everything. We'll get into that a little bit later, but I am very much looking forward to having a lot more of my time dedicated to bringing you guys more content and making this a bigger and better thing. And I just never envisioned this. 2 years ago, or whatever, when we started this thing, never envisioned that this would be possible. And here we are. So that said, I also want to talk about our other podcasts that are kind of under the In the Keep umbrella. First of all, you guys have probably heard plenty about Doom is Dead. Recently, they've been on a bit of a hiatus. I'm not quite sure why. The exact details are none of my business or whatever, but we are still doing Doom is Dead. It's not going away. It's just got to let everybody get their ducks in a row and come back when things are fresh. And it's been so fun to do that show. If you're not familiar with it, I'll explain kind of the gist of it. It's Human Bones and Dewsome of the Multiplayer Doom Federation. They had their own podcaster for a while, but it was a very, meh YouTube show. And I saw an opportunity to bring some production value to it, because that's another one of the things that I've learned over the 100 episodes of a podcast is how to do a podcast, how to produce a podcast, how to make it sound half decent, that kind of thing. And I have been absolutely blown away with what they've turned out. They've had so many amazing interviews that have just been covering the kind of history of the multiplayer Doom scene. And I know that's not the most overtly interesting sounding topic to someone who's not part of that community, but even if you didn't know anything about it, I mean, there's just so much history. It's the history of Doom is sort of the history of the internet. This was a game that was at the cutting edge, the bleeding edge of people playing games online together, and the freedom, the Wild West kind of reality that they found themselves in on the internet at that time. Just people went fucking nuts. People went absolutely batshit crazy. And most of the people who were playing games were teenagers and young men, and figuring out how to be civil and how to talk to each other and how to not DDoS people's servers, because fuck them, you could, and they would never know who did it, and that kind of thing. Figuring out server administration, figuring out communications, all that kind of stuff. And this all happened in real time in the Doom community, and they have done an excellent job of getting the right people to come on and tell their stories and talk about that. And if you're into the esports side of it, then you can hear all about the World Doom League and all that kind of stuff too. I am personally really proud of the relationship that I built with those guys and the production work that I've done on that show. So if you haven't already, there's several episodes that you can just go back and listen to now and get caught up before we get everything back together to come back with more content for Doom is Dead. So there's my pitch for that. You will also no doubt have noticed that we've started a new podcast recently, and it is called Burning Bridges with Bridge Burner. For those of you who are not familiar with Bridge Burner, we got to dote on him a little bit. He is an incredible Doom mapper and level designer and streamer. He's been building a huge audience over the past year or so, and then when he released Bastion of Chaos, which will eventually be a level in Age of Hell, you can't go wrong, man. I'm like, this guy, he's got such a personality, and I'd been bothering him. I'm like, man, you should come on our podcast, and finally we got him to. And prior to that, I think New Year's of 2022 into 2021, we did this epic stream with so many different people that he kind of brought on in line to start a little podcast thing. And I'm like, this is awesome. And that ended up being kind of the launch of the show. So I got fucking wasted and passed out at the end of it, but it was so much fun. And we had Spud Hunter and Devo and Jimmy and a bunch of other awesome people. I think Eris was on that one, Major Arlene, and just kind of shooting the shit, having a good time talking about everything that's going on in the Doom mapping community. And it was so much fun that it only made sense to continue. And on and produce a full-on show. And I was like, let's work out a price that works for both of us. And I love it when I get a new Burning Bridges episode to edit, because I'm just like stoked because I know when it's done and everything's out, I'm going to listen to it myself and pick it apart and enjoy every little bit of it. He's had, we've got 5 episodes out as of right now. So there was the first one that I already mentioned, and then General Vivi has actually been on episodes 2 and 4. That's from Proteus, if you guys aren't familiar with him, Jason Mojica. And then the most recent episode is Junction 8, who is the lead level designer at id Software until recently, and is now, I believe, working at Saber Interactive. And that is like must-hear material. Anybody out there who is even thinking about becoming a level designer in video games, because the whole podcast is the level design podcast, by the way. Such a wealth of knowledge and so many cool people, and Bridgeburner's got such a broad reach and a great personality. He actually live streams the podcast on his Twitch channel, and then I do post-production on it and release it on YouTube and, to Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, all that kind of shit. All the stuff that you guys listen to podcasts on. It's there. And got to say thanks when talking about these podcasts to Gelmo and Nabe, who have done so much work on the In the Keep website to spruce it up and make it more friendly to the fact that we have multiple shows. So you can just go on inthekeep.com, click on the podcast tab now, and select the podcast you want to look at, and get the podcast player and select where you want to listen to it and all that. It's absolutely awesome. But man, it's been such a pleasure to work with Bridgeburner, and I'm looking forward to doing more and more with him in the future. Definitely take some time to go listen to a few of those episodes if you haven't already. And that's it for podcasts, I think. I want to talk about some other stuff, so we'll move on to I'm looking for listener feedback. I want to know what you guys like and don't like, and that's not, I get lots of, great episode or, little things here and there, but if you're listening to this one, you are the core audience, I assume. So I'm really looking to hear from you, and I mean you. Yes, you. Yes, you. Yep, I'm talking to you. I want to know what you guys want to hear, and I have some kind of hard red lines about what I am and ain't gonna do. I'm gonna do long form interviews. That's never gonna change. I'm gonna have meandering weird conversations, but just in terms of what can I do to make it a little bit more, interactive, or just better what you want to hear kind of content in general. So do you want more interviews? Do you want particular games or devs that I should be aware of or reach out? Let me know who they are. Who have been your favorite guests and that you would like to hear more from? So-and-so back on episode blah, blah, blah was awesome, and whatever happened to them or whatever. And I'll hunt them down if I haven't already done so, or if I'm not still in contact with them, and try to find out, and let me know what you want. And also things like this episode, I've gotten some, I don't think I've gotten any negative feedback, but I've gotten some positive feedback on hey, we really like the solo content, and would you like more of that? Is that something that I should make a point to do more often instead of just kind of whenever I feel it's appropriate? I don't know. Do you like this format? Do you like me meandering through a bunch of stupid shit that you don't care about? I'm kidding. But talking about just different topics myself, and then playing music in between, and covering games that are on my radar. Is that what you're into? I don't know. Let me know, please. You can reach out on Discord, of course. You can hit me up on Twitter at Ty Brannon, the Motherload, whatever. Or you can email me. I don't care. It's the Motherload at inthekeep.com. Feel free to shoot me something if you have a thought or some thoughts, or tell me that you hate me. I'm sure that'll be fun. And with that comes the needed discussion to have. I guess it's about, if I'm taking this thing full time, or semi full time, probably gonna have another job when I get out. It's still gonna be working for the man, but hopefully working for a man that I actually want to work for, or a woman, or whatever. You get what I mean? But doing something that I actually feel like is well spent and will improve this, instead of just being time that I spend not doing what I really want to be doing, if that makes sense. But with the support stuff, I mean, we have Patreon, we have Coffee, we have, I think, is it Coffee or Ko-fi? I'm not really sure how you pronounce that, but we have it, damn it, it's there. There's always been the option to just like donate, but I really don't feel good about just asking people to like, hey, drop money in here. But if you want to, like, if you really want to, man, give us a tip and be like, you're awesome, we love you. We're always open to that. But the PayPal was always there for, you know, when we're doing tournaments and charity shit and like, hey, you know, donate your money to here and we'll forward it to the charity and made it easier on us. Whereas Patreon, you know, we always do early episodes for Patreon supporters, take questions whenever we can for guests and, you know, that kind of thing. But, you know, if you are a Patreon supporter right now, or if you become one because of hearing me say this, and you have things that you kind of like wish to improve or about your user experience and that kind of thing, you know, the access to the Discord, whatever, yeah, definitely just let me know. Like, I can't promise I'll be able to do everything you suggest, but I'm always looking for ways to make that, you know, relationship less you giving me something and more of a transactional thing where it's like you actually get something out of it. And to the people, and there's a few of them who I'll get to in this list that I'm going to read in a little while, there's a few people who appear to not want anything. They literally just want to give us money. And I don't know what to make of that, but fuck yeah, man. Thank you so much. I am honored and blown away that people value this podcast so much to, not just this podcast, but I guess this community so much that they think it's worth throwing their money at. That's awesome. I don't ever want the podcast to be behind a paywall. That's something that I feel really negatively about. I've known a lot of great podcasters who have done so, and some of whom have been quite successful. I just don't think that's the right move for us. I really want to reach the biggest number of people possible, and I want to find a way to kind of crowdsource as we can. And as I've said, we've built quite a good bit of business out of doing the other stuff and keeping the podcast afloat as a result of that. Not that I would ever give up on the podcast. I do this shit for free. Don't worry. I love this thing. But I don't ever want it to be a detriment, right? Like, I don't want it to be something that's like killing me to do. And the podcast is almost never like that. It's pretty much 100% pleasure for me, talking to awesome people, you know, finding fun ways to fix audio issues or whatever. That's a fun hobby to have. But the discussion would have to be had at some point. Like, I don't know if there's even really a place for sponsors. I'm not totally closed off to sponsors, but it has to be something that's relevant here. I don't want to be on here selling you fucking toothbrushes and shit. Like, that's just not what this show's about. But I guess if the right thing came along, like a beer company or something like that wanted to just give me free beer and I'd drink the beer during the podcast, that would be fucking dope. You know, something like that. If you guys have any ideas, of course, hit me up. But yeah, and then we also have, like, we tried several different affiliate links, programs like that. The Amazon's still there. You can totally still use the Amazon affiliate link. And that's just, like, doesn't cost you shit, man. It's just, you know, if you're going to shop on Amazon anyway, it doesn't cost anybody anything except for, I guess, Jeff Bezos, because we get a little cutback from whatever you buy. So he can afford to lose it. That's the way I look at it. He doesn't need it. We need it more than he does. And the important thing to note here is, I guess, just from my perspective, the money that goes in the keep does not go into my pocket. It goes into In the Keep. It pays for the production costs. It pays for the people who have helped out. It paid for the new logos. It paid for a lot of shit, you know, keeping the game servers up, whatever we could use that money for. It paid for the t-shirts that we sent to the Patreon supporters. So that's just your money coming back at you. That's what this money goes into. Now, that doesn't mean that, you know, if I get out of my current job situation and find myself with enough income to, like, really actually do this full time and not worry about anything else, I would pay myself a salary, but it wouldn't just come from this money. This would come from the esports stuff. It would come from, you know, merchandise sales, whatever. And then also, there are a couple of other things that I can't go into too much detail about just yet, but there's some big things coming along the pipeline for In the Keep that are, I think, going to be the obvious choices for where this brand goes and what it does. And I'm going to leave it at that for now. I'll drop subtle hints over the next 2 episodes, I think, but you'll know soon enough. You will be like, oh, That's what he's talking about. Damn. Good move, Motherload. Right on, I hope. That's it for that. Just kind of wanted to bring that topic up, not because I had any point to make, but because I just want us to, as a group, be thinking about where this is going. What are we doing? And then finally, we got to say thank you to all of the amazing supporters and collaborators who have made this thing possible. But before we do so, we are going to listen to another track. This one is called Awakened by the very powerful and amazing Immorpher. Immorpher, ladies and gentlemen. Immorpher. One of the OG fucking badass motherfuckers. Like, just an original gangster right there. Immorpher absolutely kicks fucking ass. Huge in the Quake mapping Discord and community, the Doom 64 community, and just a fucking banger musician. Huge fan. Love him. He's been on the show before as well, of course. This whole thing is meant to point you back towards other podcasts that we've made, I guess. But he He was also on the Aubrey Hodges episode, helped me interview Aubrey because he's a huge fan of Aubrey, and that was so much fun. But I love him. Definitely go check him out. And with that, we'll move on and we'll start saying thank yous to people. So typically I read off Patreon supporters and a few other people, including Simon and Immorpher, who've contributed either their time, money, or effort or whatever into the community. But for now, we're going to read off a lot of people. We're going to read off those same individuals. We're also going to read off a lot of the people who are very important to In the Keep, particularly, and do the hard work behind the scenes. So we're going to start off here with Ease 5000. Ease, I love you, man. You're amazing. He was the first ever Patreon supporter and also an OG, like long going back to like the Quake Champions days, member of In the Keep. Has always been very helpful with esports stuff, and I can't thank you enough, brother. I love you. Love you. Mwah. Nationwide Moose, another early Patreon supporter. He is the head of the United States Quake and Doom community. He has always been a friend of the show. He is an exemplary human being, and another confidant, someone that I've always been able to just air my personal grievances with, like shit that has nothing to do with this stuff, and has always been there for me when I needed him the most. So thank you to him. Dots, love you, Dots. Dots is he's been very cool to us. He was on episode 2. Is the only person from the open arena community brave enough to come out and talk, and just really always appreciate the support, man. You're awesome. You're amazing. Human Bones, got to say thanks to you, brother, for the business, for the podcast stuff, for being my friend, for helping us get where we are now, for all the amazing knowledge that you've bestowed on me as far as Doom goes, for the opportunities to do all of the great casting, or I shouldn't say my casting was great, but like the opportunities that you presented for me to try to do some good casting. It's been fantastic, man. I've got to say thanks to AF Domains. I love you. You're another friend. A lot of these people are friends and confidants, man. But Domains in particular, for the late nights, entertaining me, keeping me motivated while I'm playing through games and no one else was around, but you were there for me. And thanks for introducing me as much as you can to the dark side and history of the Doom and Z-Daemon and everything, and always keeping it together and just being the fucking badass man that you are. Shit. Brad Carney, you son of a bitch. Carnival, man. I got to meet Carnival, tell the story probably like a million times, but back at QuakeCon, and he was amazing. I love what he does. I love getting the history of Skull Tag and everything from him, and he's just been a long time supporter of the show. I think we kind of crossed paths at the right time when Rack Exiverse, when Rack Exiverse came out, and just, man, I got to get Brad back on the show. Shit, it's been too long. But yeah, Brad, thank you so much for the support, brother. We really appreciate it. I appreciate it. Red Eyes Green Dragon, thank you for doing all the video crap. Thank you for making Realms Deep literally possible last year. Thank you for always being down to take on crazy weird projects whenever I need you to. When I hit you up and I'm like, hey, can you do this weird thing? And you're like, yeah, I'll do it. Whatever. Thanks for showing up for part 2, which you guys will hear tomorrow. And then just thank you for being you, man. Thank you for all the fucking funny videos. I love you. Graceless Dragon, of course, thank you very much. You've always been a great supporter of the show. Roll Tide, all that good shit, man. Hope you're doing well. And I look forward to hearing back from you, man. I haven't heard from you in a while, so if you check this episode out, let me know. I can't thank you enough as well. To the next 2 people, Robert and Jack. I don't know who in the hell these people are, but thank you to both of them. They are big time supporters of In the Keep and have been for quite a long time, and I have absolutely no idea who they are. So I love you both. Thank you. That's it. To Bran Flakes, yours, we're going to thank you a lot in the next 2 episodes. Trust me. But for now, I love you and I hope you're doing well. And thank you for the support. Fred, you know who you are, you motherfucker. Thank you for everything. You know what I have to thank you for. Thank you for the opportunities, and I'm looking forward to how the future unravels. You're amazing. Lord Revan, known you since first joined, I guess, the US QDC or whatever it's called nowadays. The US Quake, Doom, and whatever else community. You've been always a really big supporter, and I'm humbled. Thank you. Love your stream. People go check out Lord Revan on Twitch. To Tones, surprisingly handsome. Surprisingly fucking handsome. Tone has been around for a long time in the Keep community. Has always done his part to help out, whether that be donating or for a long time keeping the boosts on the Twitch server, and for the really entertaining match that you put on at the last organ grinder. Thank you, man. I love you. We've already been saying thanks to igracsimon and Immorpher, but one more time to both of them for all the amazing music that they donate to the show. Absolutely incredible, both of them. To the entire Flam fam, so to Jeffrey for being amazing, for being my co-host on Talking Doom, for being one of my best friends I've ever met in my entire life. I'm looking forward to seeing you when I come to Europe. And the same goes to Yanine, who is wonderful and beautiful and somehow puts up with your ass, and to your two beautiful children, to Brahm and Maria. I love you both. This next person is one of the coolest guests that's ever been on the In the Keep podcast. There are lots of guests that are guests, and then there are guests that become friends. And Mike, you are that guy. MK Schmidt, you are one of those people, and you will forever be my hero. I enjoy every conversation we have. I very much hope that I grow up to be half the man that you are, and I really, really appreciate everything that you do for me. Even if you don't see what that is, it's a lot, and there's no way I could say it here without getting too gushy and embarrassing, so I won't. But I love you. Thank you. Zan the Bonebreaker. If you guys haven't checked out Hedon, I don't know what you're doing, but Zan saw fit to, I guess, got enough out of this podcast to say the same thing, and another developer who was on the show who became more than just a guest on the show, became someone that we have an ongoing relationship, and I just really, really appreciate the fact that you value what we do here as much as you do. Try not to tear up, but you're amazing. To Shannon, to Major Arlene, the first ever 4-hour long podcast on In the Keep, an amazing individual, basically the Doom mom. You've inspired a lot of people, me included, and again, same thing. Thank you. To Bridgeburner for the opportunity to be part of your podcast and to help you in any way that I can get Hellforge off the ground and make this into a fucking multi-million-dollar enterprise that we can all get rich off of. For being my friend, for being someone that I talk to almost every day. I love you, brother, and I hope that you're doing well and that we can kick ass and take names together in the future. To do some. Thank you for the moonshine, first and foremost. Thank you for being part of the Doom is Dead podcast. Thank you for the encyclopedic wealth of knowledge that you've given me when it comes to Doom, for answering my questions, for helping me make beef stroganoff. You're awesome. Fuck yeah. To Nabe, movie night in the Keep. Every time me and Nabe just always hanging out. Another person that I just spend an unbelievable amount of time with, more than I spend with my own family, which is saying something. For all the work that you do for us, for everything that you've given to In the Keep, your time, your effort, to your making the website as amazing as it is now, and for being one of my best pals, dude. I love you. For the next three, Ben, Damian, and Tony. First of all, thanks for bringing me onto the team. For those who are listening, these are the people behind Call of Sir Ragnar. Thanks for giving me another opportunity to see what I can do and see what kind of damage I can do, and for all the late nights of talking about how we're going to get this thing to be as amazing as it eventually will be. And I don't really know how to put it into words. I just I found a family with the three of you, and I hope that we can continue to be one big fucking happy family. To Night Owl, aka Kanukian nowadays. You've been around since as close to day one as I can remember within the keep, for all the help that you've done with streams, for being awesome, for the many late nights that I spent watching you play Quake Champions and learning from you and dueling with you. And thanks for I want to say 2 victories that I actually got over you. Remember on, what was the map? It wasn't Awoken. I don't remember what map it was, but I remember when I punched you out with with your own character. I think I ran you down. You were Doombringer, and I was Scalebearer, and somehow I managed to kill you. And I remember your face on the stream, and I'll never forget it. And never shave the hair on your chest, brother. Never shave the hair on your chest. You're awesome. To Ubergawai, thanks for all the hard work. Thanks for being my pal. Thanks for the putting up with me being a fucking asshole when it comes to getting shit done, but I can't in any way put into words how much I love you, and also love to Nikki as well, if she's listening. To Scumhead, again, another one of these guests on the show who became a friend. You're going places, kid. I really believe in you. I really, really do. I absolutely know in my soul that you were just gonna skyrocket off to oblivion without me, and I'll be a faint memory in your past. I'm kidding. I hope we stay friends forever, brother. To Zeb, LA. That's all I have to say to Zeb. Goodbye, Zeb. I love you too, brother. To Violent Heart, for being the first ever guest on In the Keep, for being a friend, for being a confidant, for being for paying for the goddamn domain name when no one else wanted to, for paying for the suite at QuakeCon, for showing me around with everybody, for connecting with me with all sorts of amazing people, for the stories, for just being a mentor. You're awesome, and please never go away. To Spaced, In the Keep would not exist without Spaced. In the Keep would not exist without what he did for me, and the encouragement, and for giving me a reason to start the Discord, for sending me my first copy of the Masters of Doom, for damn it, just being fucking a great person. And I hope you are doing absolutely well out there right now, man. And shout out to your lovely wife as well. To I Kill Pigeons, for exactly the same reasons that I just said to Space. You'll get to hear a lot more from him on part 3 of this long and meandering thing that we're calling episode 100. I love you, brother. And to a few other people who were part of that initial group, to Star Centurion and to Princess Fuzzy, for being there when I needed some fellow newbies to figure out how to play Arena FPS with. I miss you both, and I hope you find some time to come back and hang around sometime. To Vince Steele, for being one of the most insightful and thoughtful and well-spoken people that I've ever come across. You inspire me every day. I look forward to every time you put out a new video. Your handle on psychology and what makes a game special to the person who plays it, what makes the medium click with people, what makes it as important as it is to all of us. I can't tell you how much I value your insight on that stuff, and I look forward to watching you continue to grow and blossom. Thank you for all the help with Realms Deep last year. Thank you for being someone that I can bounce ideas off of at any time, and always happy to help. And I really hope that you continue to do what you do as good as you do it. To Smango, QuakeFans.net, thanks for being my fellow redneck. Thanks for all the help with everything, of course, and thank you for being the Kentucky nerd that you are, dude. I can't thank you enough for the opportunities when I was writing for Quake Fans, for all the collaborative help you've done importing In the Keep into QuakeFans.net, for just sharing your life with us, for being someone that we can always depend upon, whenever you're available out there. But when you can be around, you're always there, and we can't thank you enough for that, man. Love you. And finally, to Gelmo-san. Gelmo-san is in the keep. Gelmo-san is equally as much a part of In the Keep as I am. I'm the talking head here. Gelmo is the guy who does the hard work. Gelmo is the guy who spends countless hours up at night making sure everything's squared away, from the website to our content to the esports production to just keeping the fucking whole boat afloat. Gelmo is the anchor to this whole thing, and I think we get into this a bit in part 2, but this could not go on without the dedication and hard work of Gelmo-san, and I love you, man. You've always been amazing. I can't put into words how much I appreciate you, and to all of you, and to those of you listening, if you actually listen to this whole fucking thing, thank you, because without an audience, what's the point, you know? I don't know, and it's grown over time, but if you're new to the show, welcome aboard. I hope you stay around for a long time. You're the lifeblood, you know? You're the blood pumping through the veins that is In the Keep. And thank you to the Drowned God Cathala for giving me the faith and the hope and the heart to take on this endeavor. I'm sure I've left out a lot of people. I typed up this list shortly before starting to record this, but I just want to express my gratitude. And with that, we are going to play one more song. You will have no doubt have noticed that I did not play the title sequence at the beginning of this episode. That was on purpose. We are going to play the entire In the Keep theme, and I've got to say thank you to the man who made it. I don't think we've ever revealed this before necessarily, but if you go back and listen to, there's a bonus episode of In the Keep called Bachelor Party 2020. This was my two best friends and a few other people that were hanging out, also friends, but back to high school, Dylan and Jacob. We talk a lot. We got a lot of stuff out there, just very personal stuff. And to Dylan for being my oldest friend, really. Thank you. And he is the creator of the In the Keep theme song, and we're gonna play it for you now, and that'll be it for today. And tomorrow, when you wake up or whatever, part 2 will be out, and part 3 shortly thereafter. Thank you for supporting us, all of you, through 100 episodes of In the Keep. I love you. The Drowned God Cathala loves you. Till next time, stay in the keep.